Hello, 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 and welcome back to At The Helm with Justin Helms. This is episode 4. Once again, we have another special guest, my friend Asa from Georgia Southern, and I'll let him introduce himself and give you all a little few things about advertising afterwards.
Well, what's up, guys? It's Asa here. Yeah, I met Justin at Georgia Southern, originally from Boston. That's where I'm at now. We were in the journalism department of our school, and always talking ball, always cutting it up. And you guys know, obviously, Justin's an Alabama fan. I am a Georgia fan. And then in the NFL, I like the Patriots. But I'm just happy to be here. Happy Justin had me, and let's talk some ball.
Oh my God! And I want you to explain how, because you've told me this before. How did you become a Georgia fan living in Boston?
So my dad, his family is from Georgia. My grandfather moved up into Massachusetts when he was in the Air Force. So that's, how we're up here, but visiting Georgia a lot. And then, on Saturdays watching the games. They were pretty, I think my earliest Georgia memory was probably when I was 11 watching the SEC championship game. I think I may have told you that already, but Aaron Murray, the tip pass, and I just remember my dad kind of sat there.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, I'm going to have to like this team. And it was like, I'm going to have to deal with this. And it was, I didn't know at the time what the pain was going to be like, but,
I remember Alec Ogletree almost broke that game for us. I was so mad. He had got.
Dude, there's a lot of NFL talent in that game.
Oh, yeah, that game was crazy. So now that we got the intro out of the way, I want to let y'all know that everything is up on everything from my last episode. I posted the full episode on Apple Podcasts today. I don't know why it was taking so long. It was something wrong with Apple Podcasts saying that I couldn't publish or process the video. So it is a little bit late, but if you still want to go watch and then compare that to what happened in week 5 of college football, that's a great thing for y'all to understand kind of the idea of what happened. And then also it's on Spotify. It's been on there for a little bit, Amazon Music. And then, of course, on YouTube, I have it cut up in sections. I was going to post the full version, but I think it's actually better in sections because people can go through and look at it however they want, honestly, rather than trying to scrub through the whole thing. And saves me from making timestamps all the time. So we'll go straight into our first thing, is what we always do, is what did we learn this week? And I'll let Asa lead off with his since he's the guest.
So I think the biggest thing that I personally learned this week is Clemson is legit. I think they're a for-real team. And I think they have a serious college football playoff chance. And I'm going to get into those, for a couple of reasons. One, they won in the last 2 weeks. They won with their offense in Wake Forest, and they won with their defense against North Carolina. And to me, that kind of shows a complete team against 2 ranked teams back-to-back weeks. That's tough to do. I think if we were talking about any other ranked team that wasn't Clemson and didn't have kind of, I guess the hate Clemson's got ever since Trevor Lawrence has left and maybe got, shut down by Georgia, even though they were in that game last year, I think you would be giving that said team a lot of respect, a lot of credit. But just because it's Clemson, I think no one's really, accepting the fact that I think they're good. And DJ has shown that, he's not that DJ from the, aforementioned Georgia game, and that he stepped up a lot and he can win you a game. So I like Clemson. Their schedule is really easy the rest of the way. And, we all know how the ACC is. So I'm not going to say they're a lock for a playoff spot. I'm not going to give that to anyone just yet. But, I really like their chances moving forward. And I think they deserve it if they do get in.
And I'm going to have to give you an applause on that one. Because I agree. I think that we were a little too hard on Clemson. Last week in my rankings, I gave them the number 7 spot. I put them right below Tennessee, and then I'll talk about that later. But I put them right below Tennessee, and my problem was, I just didn't feel like their defense looked solid. But to me, offensively, I just wasn't a fan of what DJ Uiagalelei was able to do. But last game, he went out 21 for 30, 1 touchdown, 209 yards passing, and then got it done with his legs too. 14 carries, 73 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was averaging 5 yards a carry rushing wise. So to me, he showed that not only, yes, we already knew he could do it with his legs, but he showed that he can still get things done with his arm if he needs to. I would like to see it against some other teams. But at the same time, like you said, going up against two ranked teams back-to-back weeks in NC State and then Wake Forest, like that's not easy. And that was something I talked to my dad about, was like, is it time to give Clemson an apology? I said I was going to hold off on it, but I do agree that Clemson is better than we thought. And this is what I told my dad last week, because he put Kentucky over Clemson. I was like, I can't just sit here and say Clemson would beat and that Kentucky would beat Clemson if they played today. So that's why it was kind of up in the air. And right now, I don't know if Tennessee would fully beat Clemson if they played today. I think it's more of a toss-up. But so we'll see what it's like when it comes to our rankings and stuff like that. But overall, yeah, I agree with you. I think Clemson needs to get a little bit more respect than what they've been given so far this season. But I still do want to see what they look like down the line. Maybe ACC championship might be the first game they get challenged in. Who knows? We'll see. And then for my what did I learn? Mine's kind of like a two-part thing. I have the first part is the SEC is better overall. The SEC, I'm not saying compared to other divisions. I'm saying compared to the SEC of last year. Because last year it was so clear that it was Alabama, Georgia, and nobody else. Everyone else was okay, and they might challenge, and they might do something. A&M got the win against Bama. I think that was lucky, honestly. They had lost 2 games before that where they shouldn't have lost, and then they shouldn't have beat Bama. So to me, it was kind of weird. But overall, like the SEC, it's just like it's so anyone can beat anyone right now. We saw Missouri go up against Georgia and make a close game up until literally the last 4 minutes. Like Alabama struggled with Arkansas in that third quarter. We saw Arkansas and A&M play each other, which was a really close game. A&M has been up and down. I think once they find a quarterback, they'll be good. LSU went out there and whooped Auburn. Ole Miss looks better because they beat Kentucky, and we still don't know if Kentucky and Tennessee will be able to do something against Georgia. So it's like, it's so confusing. And the Mississippi State beat A&M. So it's like, anyone could beat anyone. And to me, the SEC honestly looks like the strongest division in college football, or strongest conference in college football to me. The next closest would be the Big Ten, and I don't think they're far behind. But right now, just with how anyone could beat anyone in the SEC, I think I would have to give it to them.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there, too. I think the Big Ten's very top-heavy with Ohio State and Michigan, and my verdict's still out on Michigan. We could talk about that later if you want. I don't know if they're as good as people make them out to be. And then, we kind of touched on it already. In the ACC, it's Clemson and everyone else. And the Pac-12, we don't even need to talk about the Pac-12 this year. So I'll give it to you.
Not a real conference.
The SEC, if there's any year the SEC has 3 playoff teams, I think it's this year.
Yeah, I think it is too. I think we could very easily see if Kentucky makes it through, they can make it. But right now, the 3 exactly. It would take a lot of chaos. But I think the 3 teams right now you're looking at Georgia, Bama, Tennessee, and then Ole Miss is a top 10 team now according to the AP poll. I don't know how much further they can go. They would have to play some really good games. They haven't lost yet, so they have their schedule ahead of them. They can do what they want. But right now, yeah, Georgia, Bama, and Tennessee look like they could possibly end up as the 3 teams if Michigan slips up down the road. And then my second thing that I had was I have to apologize to Caleb Williams. I came out here last week and I did my Heisman ranking, and I said C.J. Stroud, Bryce, Stetson, and then Caleb Williams. And I said the reason why I had Stetson over Caleb Williams is just because I felt like Stetson had been more dominant overall. But now watching Georgia over the past couple weeks, I can see that it's really the rest of Georgia. And then Stetson is just kind of a beneficiary of being on a Georgia team. When you watch Caleb Williams in USC, you can clearly say that Caleb Williams is winning games for USC as one of the main parts of it. Stetson is winning games for UGA, and he is one of the parts, but I wouldn't say he's just like overall a main part. Like Caleb, there's been at least 2 or 3 games where you say if you take Caleb Williams out of this game, USC doesn't win. There's probably 3 games that you can say if you take Stetson and put another quarterback in for Georgia, they might still win that game as long as that guy can make throws to open receivers. So it's just like, to me, yeah, I apologize to Caleb Williams. You're number 3 right now over Stetson. Stetson might drop to like 5, 6 after this week in the Heisman rank. I haven't looked at it recently, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think Caleb Williams is, as advertised. I think I kind of just missed the Pac-12 a second ago, but I don't really think Lincoln Riley will get to the college football playoffs in year one. If he does, that'll be pretty remarkable. But going 12-0 and winning, he'd have to go 12-0 in the Pac-12 to go undefeated and then win the your conference championship. Year one is incredibly hard to do, and USC didn't have as great as talent when he was coming in, so it's not like he's inheriting an already stacked roster. But
Exactly. So yeah, I agree with that. I don't know if they'll make the playoff, but I do say that USC looks pretty solid, and I have to give Caleb Williams his props. We'll see what they can do next year, maybe see if they can really challenge it then. But as of right now, like I agree with you. I think they might be one of the first teams left out. They'll be mad, but it is what it is. And yeah, that's all we learned for college football week 5. And then we'll come back on the next segment. We'll talk a little bit about Bama, trouble at the top with Bama and UGA. And then I have a new kind of game that I wanted to play called Panic or Peace, and I'll explain that in a second. But I'll see y'all, and we'll be right back.